And there's another thing which I haven't mentioned, which is world hunger and climate crisis. Now, I have a few questions about the traditional global warming thing which they're putting upon us, but I can't deny that there is a climate crisis in the world. Maybe it's not all caused by greenhouse gases, but it is happening. And there are massive temperatures happening in parts of the world, and you've got droughts and you've got floods taking place in various different countries. According to the UN, you've got an increase in world hunger with 309 million people facing starvation in 72 countries. Conflict is the main driver of acute insecurity, including 135 million people in 20 countries. Extreme weather events affecting 77 million people, and more countries experiencing severe flooding, storms, droughts, wildfires, and pest and disease outbreaks, all contributors to food crises. Estimated that 5% of the entire population of Sudan could starve to death by the end of 2024. More than half of the country's 45 million people urgently need humanitarian assistance. So you've got half of the population of 45 million, caused actually by a war which Muslims are waging on each other. I don't know how many people you've seen demonstrating against that in London, but I haven't seen any. Well, there's a lot demonstrating against Israel. But you've got all these situations taking place in the world which are leading to massive, insoluble problems for millions of people, which could end up with starvation and death on a huge scale. And according to the article which I read, it says, experts agree that what we're experiencing right now is just the beginning because land is being degraded at a staggering pace. 40% of the world's land is already degraded. It's expected that the figure will reach 95% by 2050. The head of the UN Food Programme says in some of the poorest countries of the world, they've reached a point where there are zero harvests left. Drought and flooding have become so common in some of the poorest parts on Earth that the land can no longer sustain crops. The director of the World Food Programme's Global Office has said, when soil degrades, the organic matter that binds it together dies off. That means it's less able to support plant life, reducing crop yields and absorb carbon from the atmosphere. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but what happens when if 95% of the world's soil is degraded? We're done, we're finished. We actually only live because of the topsoil on the earth. You know, I went and dug our allotment the other day, and I just thought that little bit of topsoil there is what is the difference between us and mass death. Without that, there's no food on the earth, and it's being degraded. And, you know, these are other signs which really no one has an answer to. And it's a sign of the second coming of Jesus. Now, according to some people, all these things are going to set off a global crisis which is inevitable. Now, you may find that a bit depressing, but if you read the Bible, it is inevitable. Because the Bible says it's going to happen as well. It speaks about the time of the Great Tribulation. And these things are coming on the earth.